Get ready for trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. The fun starts right now. This is Daily Flash.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrea Jackson.
I am Mitch English, and welcome to Daily Flash, everybody! All right. You two make out. No. Come on.
No, hey, we'll do anything for the YouTube clicks.
We got to YouTube video. No.
Why?
Just talk to me on
Hey,
social media.
Listen.
No.
Well, that's,
Stop using his tongue, so it's not that as bad as you think.
and you can see all this at dailyflashshow.com. I'm kidding. It's all good stuff on there. You can send us a note.
It's our OnlyFans page.
Flash at dailyflashshow.com.
Daily Flash OnlyFans.
Hey, man, that's where the money's at.
Is this like watching an episode of Too Hot to Handle?
Yes, 100%.
Right?
Just, matter of fact, we don't even want to handle it.
Yeah.
We don't want to deal with it.
Yeah,
It's
too hot.
bosom buddies in 2025.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Anyway, yeah. All right, we're glad to have you boys hanging out with us,
yes.
and you at home as well.
We like to talk about airline behavior here on the show.
What is with airplanes?
I'm catching a flight today, and I'm just
Are
like,
you?
I don't know, man.
Do you plan on bringing all your groceries with you
No!
to cook an in-flight meal?
I'm trying to bring the least amount I can on board. Are you telling me somebody has done this?
Bizarre airline behavior. This woman she's been lit up on social media.
Should be.
She brought a whole pasta kit with her on an airplane and put together the pasta. She's got the bowl, she's using her finger to stir, she's rolling the dough. And here's what I don't get. At some point here, she starts to cut the dough with the pasta cutter. And I'm thinking, how did she get that from security? How? How in the world? People are outraged that she's doing this. She's like, well, I hate airplane food, so I'm just going to make my own food. Now, in full disclosure, she's a foodie, so she posts these food videos online. 11 million views. But people have lost their mind because it's like, at what point do we just use an airplane to fly? Why do we have to do all of this stuff?
I totally, wholeheartedly agree with you. And it's, first of all, it doesn't look like somebody was sitting next to him, but that person would be sitting next to me.
Yes.
And if we can go to Cam 2, you don't have a lot of room. So if you're doing something, you're still, now I have to kind of lean over out of your way for you to be able to do. Even, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of crap. It's like there's personal space, and then for you to be able to do it. So third thing is, you cannot have enough of the antibacterial lotion on you, especially on an airplane, right?
Yes, because the airplanes, they say, are are one of the most germ-infested places anywhere. So why would you want to hand roll pasta and cook your own meal?
I didn't see her wearing
in
gloves
your
either.
Airplane seat. No, she wasn't.
And what? If you chartered the plane and did that, how's my life better? Tell me how my life just got better that somebody made pasta on a plane. I know we can say that about a lot of stuff, but why do you have to be the person who does it, and why do you have to be sitting next to me?
Exactly.
Pasta now. What's next?
What would be
pizza.
sushi?
Yeah.
I could see him. He'll make it just
I can see
rolling
sushi.
sushi up
You
there.
can get away with that, I think.
Stir fry?
Well, fish you have to be very careful with.
Yes, you do. Fish is a...
Stir fry would be, oh God.
But
cereal.
But haven't you been on those flights where you're sitting there and all of a sudden somebody brings food on from the food court and you can, it's like Thai food. It's like, oh my God, and it smells.
And you're in the front of the plane, and they're in the back of the plane.
And you can smell it because it's so, the aroma is so strong that it seeps through everything.
How do they let you do that sort of thing is what I want to know, is like how airlines could say, hey, look, I get it, you got to bring some food, but maybe there's all kinds of lists I can't do. Remember when the whole face mask thing? I had face masks that had little vents on the side. Yeah. They wouldn't let me in. They go, no, you can't have it. It has vents on the side.
Are you kidding me?
This was and I'm like, okay, but you'll let somebody go and make, back
pasta.
in that day, make pasta?
Yeah.
But I can't, and none of the rules make sense. And finally, since we're talking, we go through so hard, they go through our luggage, when you drop it off. But anybody, I'm telling you, anybody can walk up to where your luggage comes out and grabs a suitcase and hauls ass, and there's not one security guard around.
You're totally right. 100%.
So I try to get there as fast as possible.
Yes,
If it's one of those force check bag things, I'll just drop it up. But I'm like, all right, I want to get there, and I sit there and wait for it.
I'm the first to come, and you're like you're beelining it, and then here in Orlando, you usually have to wait because the way they set up their airport, it takes a good half hour sometimes.
Yes.
That was one of those stupid TikTok trends for a while where people were going there stealing luggage and be like, what did we get? And they would open it up when they got to their house and be like, oh, look what we found, stealing someone's luggage.
Yeah.
And then you've got stories of people who put Apple AirTags in their bags, and then they track them down, and then they get arrested for stalking or showing up at somebody's house for like, hey, can I have my bag back? And then, God only knows what will happen to you. But
there needs to be, and there's some airlines, it seems like they're obviously they charge more, but there just seems to be this decorum, this new rule where we just say, listen, since everybody's so good on dates, we go, all right, starting January 1st, we're actually going to have couth, people.
Yeah.
From this day forward, no more making pasta on the plane. And make this whole long list of crap. I'll fight some of it. I'll do some of it. I won't do some of it. But at least I know that I won't be sitting next to the person.
I would say this is an opportunity for an airline to say, hey, this is how we want our passengers to behave. These are our rules. You follow them or you're kicked off the plane. I think people are like so over these meltdowns midair and drunk passengers and food being cooked in the aisle and people demanding to switch seats. It's like, what has happened to air travel?
There was a flight, we were talking about this on the radio show. It was a long distance flight. Every bathroom was broke. They were telling people, hey, it's a sink. It's now about. They were saying whatever way you need to do. Cups were passed around and everything.
Yeah.
So, and where do you? And they were flying over, I think, the Atlantic, so they couldn't necessarily.
Oh, so it's one of those long flights. Because I'm usually
to me, just leave it open. I have an RV. You just leave it open. Let it fall.
Even if I'm doing cross country from Florida to California or something, I will try to empty everything before I get on that plane. I try to avoid that bathroom as best as I can.
I was going to ask you, Matt, was it just the cruise, but Virgin Airlines? Did you fly Virgin?
Yeah, I did.
They're a little higher tier.
It's a little higher tier.
Everybody
on there understands it's going to be like a 12-hour flight because we flew, from Florida to the UK. So everybody understands it's going to be a little longer. Let's all act nice. There weren't a lot of kids on there, and the seats are a little bigger.
I'm so glad you said
bathrooms
that.
are a little nicer. They treat you a little better. But again, it's a 12-hour.
Like an adult.
It
treats you like adults.
It was a lot nicer.
And I'm guessing that the price for the Virgin Airlines is a little bit more expensive than
the
regular.
But then we flew for our honeymoon. We flew to Greece and we flew Delta for that one, and it was still nicer than what we would get domestically.
Yeah.
And my wife's uncle flies internationally all the time, and he says there are a lot of different regulations when you're flying international than when you're flying domestic. Like he has to go through a whole different checklist of stuff before he's allowed to fly.
I can buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Like, how many times do you hear like people acting a fool when they're like
In Europe.
like Europe?
Yeah, or
It seems
Asia.
like it's only domestic flights here in the United States where we hear these crazy people, and it starts in the terminals. First off, yelling at them.
Well, they were talking to some airline flight attendants, and they were saying some of the worst behavior comes from Britain because they go to the pub in the airport and they throw back a few. So by the time they get onto the airplane, they're usually the most drunk passengers that they have to deal with.
Here's the worst.
So, I just haven't done that yet.
The worst idea I ever saw for one of the flight lounges was in Greece, and it was a self-serve bar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like,
self-serve bar?
Self-serve bar. And I was like, oh, this is going to be dangerous.
Was there a tip jar?
My wife just looks at me and goes, no. And I was like, I got to go to the bathroom. She's like, I will watch you the whole time. You come right back.
You get back there and make that pasta. Wow.
Do you say you're
That's
overserved
scary.
and they say who
Yeah.
overserved you and you said myself?
I'd be like, well, y'all left it there.
Yeah.
Somebody, have y'all heard, this could be a wives' tale, not true, but like because of the higher elevation, alcohol might do something different
Oh, I've
to
heard
you.
that too,
I've heard that.
yeah.
I don't know if that makes a big difference, but having an open bar, two things I think should never, here's the airplane and open bar, and then Matt Doolittle. Three things.
Y'all know how
ever
that
want to
ends.
hear in one sentence ever in my life. I'd rather eat that pasta than hang out with open bar Matt Doolittle on a cross-country flight.
I'm telling you, it's just this airline behavior to me. I am just shocked. I'm not quite sure where we took the complete left turn, but we did somewhere within the last couple of years.
The
and
pajamas.
It's just crazy. The pajamas, people wearing pajamas, and then the flight etiquette. Asking people to move seats if you don't like your seat. And the rule of thumb there is, if you're going to ask somebody to swap seats with you, it has to be the same seat.
Meaning, like, hey, can you sit in this middle seat so I can sit
in
next to the window?
Middle seat, yeah. You can't change your middle seat for a window or an aisle seat.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah,
There's a great, I guess it came from a movie I watched. It was a clip, and the guy, he's actually in that new police squad movie. Anyway, and he's all like, hey, can my son sit next to the window? And he goes, did your son buy this ticket? Because I bought this seat right here. And I kind of believe it.
End of story.
End of story. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Should have bought your son a window seat.
This is Tim. Tim is all about time, and if you've ever had a chance to look into Tim's cold, dead eyes, you'll see that it's time for you to follow us on social media. Sure, there's 10,000 social sites out there, and we don't have the time to name them all. Seriously, just ask Tim. So take the time to look for Daily Flash TV on your favorite social sites, and start following us. That's all the time, Tim. Goodbye.
All right, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Andrea Jackson along with Mitch English. Okay, get ready for this, guys, because a new study claims this is the most attractive hobby for a man, according to women.
Okay.
Ready?
Do tell.
Reading topped the list, with 98% of women rating it as the most attractive hobby for men. Learning a foreign language, playing an instrument, cooking, and woodworking rounded out the top 5. The results suggest women are largely looking for a man who's cultured and well-rounded. Among the least attractive hobbies, cryptocurrency, comic books, and cosplay. And I'm sitting next to someone who's reading with the reading glasses. I like that look, Mitch.
Oh,
That's
I'm
excellent.
so sorry. I was reading something I do.
I find you so attractive when you do that. I love it when you read.
Have you noticed? Like, I read more offline, obviously, than having a handbook. But when I read online, I paraphrase more. I look for what I'm.
Yes.
And I don't necessarily read. And they're saying your intellect, and obviously even the way that you have a discussion about sort of things, comes from actual holding a book and
totally
reading
believe
that,
that.
because you're going through. So I find the really hard books to read.
Oh, you do? The large text. Our next guest, Cynthia Rivard, has just released a book titled A New Breed of Leader, a guide for healing humanity and peaceful revolution. In the book, Cynthia talks about the rise of something called the micro-leader. Cynthia joins us now on Daily Flash. Welcome, Cynthia.
Good morning. I'm excited to be here.
So let's start with the phrase, the rise of the micro-leader. What does that mean?
You can consider this your daily, everyday influence. Most people don't consider themselves a leader unless they've ever held a title or been handed a gavel of responsibility, but we all have positive influence of others in our daily interactions. And that's what micro leadership is, recognizing that and then being intentional in our interactions. And then you can take that a step further and recognize that everyone you're interacting with has influence, the same ability and possibility to influence others.
So I'm
becoming intentional in that.
I'm thinking of it in maybe layman's terms. You're at the grocery store, you're kind of leading the way. You see somebody who's blocking the aisle. Instead of getting in an argument, you kind of give way or offer help. Is that kind of the idea behind it?
Absolutely. Everyone we interact with, we have an ability to positively influence, but we're usually not intentional and recognize the influence we have. And another example would be if you have a fight with your spouse in the morning, they go to work and have a different way of interacting for that next hour or so because of your interaction with them. It's the ripple effect.
Yeah, I remember somebody talking about reaction. Your reaction says everything in a certain situation, and it's figuring out how to react in situations that might be uncomfortable or awkward that really differentiate you from other people in a sense, I guess, like you had mentioned, the micro leader.
Absolutely. And that can start with fostering the ability to regulate your emotions, to foster that inner peace. So you can think clearly and come across calmly with diplomacy in all of your interactions and kindness.
I like the way you mentioned inner peace being able to enable outward progress. And I think that's an important part, approaching a problem or a situation with a more peaceful mindset. What about aligned action?
Well, we're all very good, at least I am, with being busy, but not all action is created equal. So I define aligned action as really discerning that you're taking the right action with the time you have, because time's our most precious asset. And are we intentional and taking the best actions? Because we all find time for what we prioritize.
And lastly, you say we all must get involved. How so? How are we not getting involved enough, I guess, is the bigger question.
Well, again, this goes back to micro leadership and being intentional. It's very easy to watch the news and feel very disempowered with all of the conflict and the dysfunction in the world. But we can all find a little time or a little money to contribute somewhere more so. We all need to do more because there's a lot of things that need solving. But just look for those micro actions that we can start taking now, because as soon as you start taking an action, a really small action, you don't feel disempowered anymore. And that starts looking at your own neighborhood or community.
And I think of it too, Cynthia, as even in situations when you're on the road and you're sharing the highway with somebody and they cut you off or they don't use their turn signal and, people get the road rage. I mean, there's a different approach we can take with this, in a leadership format, right?
Absolutely. And, when things like that happen, it's absolutely more about them than you. So if you let go of attachment and just wish them the best and hope they get there safely
Right.
because, uh, you know,
Definitely.
they've got some things to work through.
Cynthia,
Yeah.
it's wonderful to chat with you. Thank you so much. For more information on Cynthia's book, there it is, A New Breed of Leader. You can head to our website, dailyflashshow.com, or you can go visit her website at cynthiarivard.com.
Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Mitch English. It is time for us to check in with Tony Toscano to find out what's coming out of Hollywood and straight to your screen, no matter what size you're going to watch it on. With the latest, here's Tony.
Thanks, Mitch. Hitting Prime September 1st is the musical teen drama series, The Runarounds.
Neil, when you see him on stage, I love passion like that.
The song that you're working on, I wrote some lyrics, if you want to hear them.
A high school band graduates and attempts to achieve fame and success in the music industry. I chatted with series stars Leela Pate and Marley Aaliyah. What do you think audiences will take away from watching The Runarounds?
Oh, so many things.
So many things.
I think that the largest thing is to follow your dreams and to really try. I think the odds are so scary, the expectations, parents and friends and life and the world telling you to do something. But if you are lucky enough to have something that you really love, like a passion, I don't think you could really be living if you don't do it and you feel that calling. So dream big.
What's crazy is that I am like the Runarounds #1 fan. Like, I'll go to their show, I'll just be crying my eyes out.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh my God,
Yes,
oh
you
my God.
will.
I want audiences to just take that.
Yeah.
Yo, chill. Oh.
The Runarounds is a watchable and well-acted series focusing on friendships and a combined passion for music. Again, it's streaming on Prime beginning September 1st. It gets an A and is not rated. Jaws is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and you can catch it in IMAX theaters.
It's a beautiful day. The beaches are open, and people are having a wonderful time. Amity is a summer town. I don't think you appreciate the gut reaction people have to these things. You yell barracuda, you're racist, huh? You yell shark, we've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Released in 1975 and directed by Steven Spielberg, Jaws has become an international cult favorite and has created the summer blockbuster, as well as reshaping how suspense thrillers are made. I had a chance to chat with Wendy Benchley, Jaws author Peter Benchley's widow.
Jaws, it could have been a novel about a dentist, right?
Yes.
Yeah. and so we had about 50 different titles, and they just couldn't figure out what would be one. And there was one that was pretentious, like Leviathan Rising, and then another scary one, White Death. And then Peter's father, who was really quite funny, said, "I know, I've got the best title. What's that noshing on my leg?"
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
If you haven't seen Jaws on a big screen with full sound, this is your chance. Again, it's playing in selected theaters and gets an A. It's rated PG. For the Daily Flash, I'm film critic Tony Toscano.
Tony, thank you. Well, get this. A Colombian family has named their baby girl ChatGPT after ChatGPT. Despite the unusual name, the child was registered without objection at the National Registry Office. According to local media, the parents of ChatGPT said they chose the name as a tribute to artificial intelligence. Now, in Colombia, the law does give officials discretion to deny a name if they think it could be harmful. Experts say an unusual name or one that invites jokes can expose a child to future ridicule and affect self-esteem and emotional well-being. ChatGPT.
And Hugo was telling us, he's of Latin descent, he said this is actually something common. American, things that are American are really big names in South America and that sort of thing. Of course, ChatGPT is global and that sort of thing. And I would imagine she's just going to go by Chat, or maybe she might go by her middle name, Yippity, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you put the first and middle name together,
it doesn't make sense.
Right, and maybe I'm hoping, but to me, I just think that's mean. I just think it's mean, no matter what. But of course, I'm not their parents, and she's welcome to. She's going to be asked a lot of questions. She's not going to be the one asking questions.
She'll be answering.
She'll be answering all the questions. Everybody, right?
Well, then that brings up a good point. So, are they doing this from a financial angle? Are they thinking they could get some money out of it if they coin that name that belongs to them?
If they Bitcoin the name.
If they Bitcoin the name, I like that.
I like that. That's horrible. I'm sorry.
No, I liked it.
We're gonna go. I'm gonna go and just report myself for that bad joke. But I tell you what, I'll be back right after this with this hot lady.
KSA Entertainment is dedicated to uplifting the communities we serve. Through KSA Cares, we're bringing awareness to the causes that matter most, supporting those who work tirelessly to make a difference. From honoring veterans to championing environmental responsibility, KSA Cares is committed to inspiring positive change. At KSA Entertainment, we're here for the stories that bring us closer. Innovate with us. We can make a difference. This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. Trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash.
Hey everybody, I am Mitch English.
Yes, I'm Andrea Jackson. Welcome back to Daily Flash.
And we're so glad to have you here. Maddie, we got fans everywhere, don't we?
Fans everywhere, and they send us notes all the time, so make sure you do. But in our 219 markets across the country, make sure you send us a note and send it to your friends. They can check out our website, dailyflashshow.com. You can see where you can find us. And today we are spotlighting our friends at KLPD in Denver, Colorado.
Denver!
A city I'm dying to go to.
Mile high.
I hear it's just a hoot up there for multiple reasons.
I know why you want to get. Really, it's actually cool. It's the world's largest airport. I know that.
Stapleton? Is it still called Stapleton?
I'm not sure the name of it, but I do know they're saying there's government conspiracy. The underground.
Underground.
Yeah, but Denver's a cool place.
It's a real Area 51.
Probably so, right? There is a huge divide. I'm sure you knew this, though, of our youths between young men and young women. Apparently, they are wildly out of sync when it comes to life goals.
Oh, yes.
And this really surprised me when it came out. It was a story that was in the New York Post, and it came from the Survey Center on American Life, which sounds like somebody's write-off.
Sounds like an NGO that was funded by some dark money.
It sounds like it. But they're saying we might be possibly running into a baby bust, meaning we might not have enough babies because young men and young women have different life goals. This is the surprising part. According to this research, many young men say that family and kids are a top priority, where young women are actually putting careers, their independence, and personal freedom first. So where I think a long time ago where we at least thought like, well, I wanted to be a mom and raise a family and as
get
a man.
married, have kids, buy a home, the whole shebang.
Now I think where the gender role has kind of changed a little bit about that, where men are like they want to actually have a family, and where it's the other way around. And now I think women are more have more opportunity. I think is another big reason.
Yes.
And they're saying because of things like this is that now they're not coupling as much and they're not wanting to have a family.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk about population collapse. Elon Musk talks a lot about it. He's like, procreation is important. And of course, he has 14 children. I've lost count. So he's doing his part for the rest of us. But it is fascinating when you think about it, like, the way trends have been skewing for women. They've been very career driven. They've been pushed to like, get a job, get a career, have something for yourself. And now I think, we could see the tides turn a little bit once they understand that, what a priority to men now is women, marrying, having a family, having kids, leaving some kind of legacy.
Having my second marriage, obviously, anybody that's been married twice will probably tell you the same thing, is that you realize, hopefully you do realize by the second time you marry, what you need in life. I always felt like my first marriage, I had to provide. And when I found a woman that did not need me at all, and is 100, and Matt and I, we've talked about this all the time, that they don't need us at all. There is some kind of relief and sexiness about that.
Oh, really?
100%, because it's like you've taken so much pressure off of me.
Yes.
Until they start making all the decisions. And what do you mean I don't get that?
And then you're emasculated, and it's a whole other conversation.
All in all, it took a lot of pressure off me, knowing that my wife she wants to be with me.
Yes.
Instead of needing to be with me. Whereas I think generations ago it was the other way around. It's like, well, you have to find a man if you're gonna ever make it in life, and you have to have kids, otherwise you'll be an old spinster.
Yes, and I think that's a really great point, because I think a lot of women don't want to get caught in that trap of I'm depending on a man for everything. And then once that man decides I'm up and leaving you for someone else, then you're like, okay, now what do I do? I've got to find a career, I've got to find a job, I've got to make money for myself. So I think there's been an interesting shift when it comes to that dynamic of providing and expectation.
100%, and it's cyclical by all means.
Yes.
And I think we're seeing leveling out as far as pay scale goes and that sort of thing, and more women are actually saying, you know what, I can actually have a career and I can actually have a family as well.
Yes.
I think it's staying in tune to try to find out. There was nothing I wanted to be more than a dad when I was younger. I wish I would have waited. I was very, very young when I had my first kid, but I'm happy I did. I just wish they'd left that pressure off of having it. I would have waited longer.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Of course, yeah.
There we go.
Let us know what you think. We're back right after this.
Today on The Scene with Doreen, I get to sit down with Rain Maida, founding member and lead vocalist of one of Canada's most influential rock bands of all time, Our Lady Peace. They're celebrating 30 years this year and have a new single out, and I can't wait to dig in. Check it out. Congrats. 2025 marks the 30th anniversary of making music as Our Lady Peace. One of the tunes that really shaped your sound as Our Lady Peace was Superman's Dead. And I've read that song was actually conceived in the bathroom.
You know, we're in the studio making the Clumsy record, and we weren't done, but I was just sitting with an acoustic guitar. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was in the bathroom, but our producer heard me playing it and said, "Did you just what is that you're playing?" I said, "Oh, I'm just working on something, writing something." And did you say Superman is dead? I was like, "Yeah," and he was just like, I think we need to work on this." Mm-hmm. And so it was one of those really spontaneous things that I think because you're in the work, I think when you're in the studio making records, sometimes just because of being in that creative space, things just pop up. That was one of those ideas that just popped up, and thank God it did.
Mm-hmm. One of the second maybe best things that can happen in the bathroom for you. But no,
There you go.
You're a fan of Superman, the old black and white, TV show. You actually were a fan of that, weren't you?
My mom's got this picture. We just had it blown up. I was Superman for Halloween, and I put the costume on, went out for Halloween, and then the story goes, I wouldn't take it off for like a month. We had this creek behind our house, which was there's railroad tracks. Mm-hmm. And I was 6, but kids would hang out there, and that's where they go smoke. My mom told me the story of she had to come get me because I went down there as Superman telling these kids they had to stop smoking.
Oh, that's so
amazing, yeah.
But did they find you as cute as I do, or did you get a little bit of...
They probably could have definitely beat me up and threw me in a bush, but they called my mom and they're like, "Yo, you need to come get your kid."
And you have a very unique style of singing. Many have described it as a countertenor.
I grew up listening to a lot of female singers, whether it was Joni Mitchell or Tori Amos, all these weird singers that would do little acrobatic things with their voice. So, it was just trying to find a balance between that and then, growing up on Neil Young, Leonard Cohen, and that more deep, almost baritone. I think now, actually, it's taken a while. It sucks, but it's taken me a long time to really find that balance work really well.
Well, the wrestling world in shock today. Former champion Chris Benoit found dead in his Atlanta home along with his wife and young son. Police now treating the discovery as a double murder-suicide.
For those that don't know, Our Lady Peace wrote Whatever for the WWE in 2003, and it was used by Canadian wrestler Chris Benoit as his entrance theme. Our Lady Peace distanced themselves from the song and shelved it for 2 decades until now.
That song has always been, since streaming started, it's in our top 3. And we just felt wow, we don't want to play it, but how do we find some balance? When you think about mental health, I feel like we've come a long way from 2007, when Chris committed suicide, to where, trying to push people to not suffer in silence. Every cent that the song makes on streaming will be donated to, mental health awareness, suicide prevention hotlines around the country. So it just feels like we're able to give it a second life that has real meaning.
Visit OurLadyPeace.com for music, tour dates, cool merch, and to just stay connected to everything that is Rain Maida and Our Lady Peace. Thank you so much for coming and spending some time with me today.
Oh, it was amazing. Thank you.
If you want to hear more of our great conversation, visit here. I'm Doreen Taylor with The Scene with Doreen, here at the Daily Flash each week. See you next time.
Welcome back to Daily Flash.
You know how they say, always take care of your teeth.
Teeth, yep.
Take care of your eyes. Take care of your feet.
Yeah.
Also, take care of your ears. Your
These
hearing,
things?
yes.
Huh?
Check your hearing. Colombian rapper Maluma abruptly stopped his concert to call out a mother who had brought her baby to the show without any ear protection. The 31-year-old performer noticed the baby in the audience and decided to call out the mom in front of a crowd of about 26,000 screaming fans. The rapper told the crowd he would never personally do something like that as a father and told his fans to follow his advice. He basically shamed her in front of a crowd.
I really think you need to do that. It doesn't make any sense. No sense at all. That baby, first off, is not going to remember whatsoever. And how loud, I know I've gone to concerts when I come home, your ears are still ringing.
Even after using ear protection,
Yes.
right? You can feel the effects. I always wonder about this when people bring babies to big sporting events or concerts. It's why can't you find a babysitter?
It seems, and you want them to. It seems like there should be an age where they can figure it out.
Yeah.
That first off, ear ear protection if you absolutely have to have them like there. It's a reason if you go to like one of these Disney on Ice or Sesame Street on Ice, they don't play the music all that loud because they know little kids are there, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
I mean,
yes.
and for that, so I commend him for doing that, for stopping that, and saying, really, hopefully that will stop people from doing it, because who wants to be called out? We go now to Japan, where they have officially cracked down on crazy baby names like Pikachu, Prince, and even Jewel. Some names also fall under their new law include the name Lovely, Kitty, as well as Elsa. This crackdown is actually part of a revision to the Family Register Act, giving local authorities powers to reject any name that they deem too outrageous or tricky to pronounce. The goal is to ensure names don't have a negative impact on a child's future. Lots of countries do this. Like Iceland, you have a list of names you can choose from, and it could be rejected as well. But it does seem like your name, like if you think of a name of anybody, that person is, when you hear that name, that's who you always think of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
And I always think about the name Ashley. The first Ashley I met was a guy. And I never knew it was a girl's name.
I went to school with an Ashley guy too.
And so when I met a girl Ashley, I was like, oh, what about a guy's name? But Ashley's really, nowadays I guess is more, but anyway. If you're gonna give your kids that much grief by making up this crazy name, something's wrong with you. The names like Elsa and some of the others, maybe they don't want them to be too trendy or too
like
Western.
Or inspired by Disney or popular
commercial.
characters, very commercial oriented, because there's a certain stigma maybe that's attached to that.
Right, and it's hard too, and to change your name. My middle name is No Speakita, and you'll have to think about that. I'm Mitch English. There we go. It's a bad joke. Yeah. Even still, don't name your kids that. It's funny for about 2 seconds, okay? And it's not. The kid's got to deal with it for the rest of his life.
Yes. Well, wasn't John Wayne? Wasn't his name
Marion?
Marion, right?
His name was Marion.
And he struggled with that all his life. And there was another actor or singer who had something along those lines, and
like a name that's generally
known as a female name. That he was a very manly sort of character.
Oh my gosh, you said that, and it reminded me. I watched The Birdcage last week for some reason with Robin Williams and Nathan Lane, and they were talking about, all right, just walk like John Wayne. And do you remember that scene? And he's walking like John Wayne, and and he does the John Wayne walk, and he goes, well, it doesn't look gay. And he goes, but oddly it is. Go watch that movie. That scene only. I was laughing my butt off, 100%.
Classic.
Speaking of John Wayne.
Well, there is a law in Spain that gives the death penalty a whole new meaning. It is illegal for residents to die in one local village. What? The law was put in place more than 25 years ago. Now, the mayor was pressured to resolve an overcrowding issue at the local cemetery. So now the small town has become a popular tourist spot with influencers, as you can imagine. So they don't want you to die there because they don't have any room to bury your body.
They don't want, I would imagine, to say that the population, this amount of people have died this amount of years. So a lot of times it happens where they can pronounce you dead as wherever you are.
Yes.
You might not be breathing where they pick you up on your own. Right. They could take you to another place and say, all right, you're not breathing here either, but you died here. That's generally really what it comes down to, right? All right, if you want the Force, it's going to cost you. A Star Wars groupie has made history by plunking down $3.6 million on a single piece of Hollywood sci-fi history. What is it? The original lightsaber used during the filming of The Empire Strikes Back, as well as Return of the Jedi. It's the very same lightsaber seen in the iconic "No, I am your father" scene, where Luke Skywalker learns that he is Vader's son. The winning bid actually marks the most anyone has ever paid for a Star Wars prop. The lightsaber has chips and cracks from its use on set. It was basically literally made from crap around the studio. They got like a piece of pipe. If you ever look at it, really, it's really cheaply made. If you look at what the lightsaber, I remember seeing a documentary about it, and they just grab like, oh, this looks like a cool knob. We'll just put it on here, because everything else was, all in special effects afterwards. But for that amount of money, to say you have the lightsaber is kind of cool.
Yeah, that is an iconic.
But you're a major nerd.
Yeah.
You have to take that title with you,
That is
right?
true.
I mean, it's cool, but you're a nerd.
But it brings up, the idea of like the movies that were made back then. Like I enjoy the Star Wars that was made back in the 70s, early 80s, more so than the Star Wars that are made today, because there's a certain charm about the storytelling, the movie, the way it was made at that particular time.
The simplicity of it.
The simplicity of it all,
And while you were saying that, I was thinking of the land speeder that Luke Skywalker went around, and I remember, I know how they did that. All that was they were just driving around in a circle, and it was on. You couldn't see the other side, but to me, it was still movie magic, and I was okay to look over that. But now it has to look realistic because of CG and that sort of thing.
And expectations.
And expectations,
but then you back to the lightsaber, the magic of a good production designer and a prop master, and what they're able to piece together and turn something as simple as a piece of pipe and a couple extra knobs into this, famous lightsaber that's become so iconic.
Okay, so I do know this as well about the Star Wars, and you can do this at home, kids, and it's okay. So, they might still have them. Like, you have telephone poles, and they have those long cords that keep them erect and held up. Basically, what they did to make the spaceship shooting is they put a microphone up to those things and just hit the cord, and like.
And that was the sound.
And that was literally the sound. It's like, oh yeah, we went down to, and we didn't specially make it. We went down to a telephone pole. They put a microphone up to it and just started hitting it, and it sounds like. And so every time when I was a kid, I would always go by there and try that. And hey, look at me, I'm going to be in Hollywood.
And wasn't the Chewbacca character based on the writer/director's dog that he had?
I've heard that.
It was that kind of, he just fell in love with the dog, and he had certain mannerisms, and he thought the Chewbacca character would be perfect.
Same goes for James Gunn with this latest Superman. They based the dog on his actual dog, which is a rescue dog. Crypto.
That's right.
It's based off his dog, but Crypto, of course, was in the
Inspired by
what he looks like. More flash and fun, and maybe have a little trivia as well.
KSA Entertainment is dedicated to uplifting the communities we serve. Through KSA Cares, we're bringing awareness to the causes that matter most, supporting those who work tirelessly to make a difference. From honoring veterans to championing environmental responsibility, KSA Cares is committed to inspiring positive change. At KSA Entertainment, we're here for the stories that bring us closer. Innovate with us. We can make a difference.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Daily Flash.
So guys, I have a paranoia with flat tires. I've had bad luck with car tires.
Really?
I blew a tire last month on our expressway here. Luckily my wife was able to save me with the organization she works for. So yesterday I'm coming in at 6 a.m. and my tire sensor goes off. On one of the new ones I just bought is going down. And I go, oh, come on. It's 6 a.m. I'm not close to a Wawa where they have free air, or Costco, or anywhere there's free air. So I pull into the convenience store across the street from here, and I'm like, all right, please don't just go down. It went up a little before I got in there, so hopefully it's not a nail. I go up to the thing, and now you can pay with your card, right? Because the exchange has money.
Yes.
$3 for air. And I was talking, $3 for 5 minutes of air. So I talked to my wife. She goes, well, you know why that is, right? And I go, why? She goes, because they know nobody has $3 worth of change or dollars in their car. And they go, what are you going to do? Not pay? So you're going to pay with your card because you need the air right there. And I was like, this used to be 75 cents, 50 cents.
There's also credit card charges too. I'm sure that they're trying to reclaim, but $3 still for air.
$3 for air. So I went around to each tire and made sure I got my 5 minutes.
I would. For sure.
It's kind of like when you go to a car wash and you go really fast because you think you're going to run out of time, and all of a sudden you have like 10 minutes left, and you just like no, just.
Like, I might as well just
I'd have to
air down myself. Yeah, do myself down. But that it blew my mind. I'm like, yeah, because they know if you're going there, you're not just going there for the air. This is what he does every time.
All right. To add to that, what really bothers me now is some of these parking garages that you go into. Now you have to pay for the parking space, and they don't allow you to pay for cash. You've got to pay with a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
So now these parking spaces, and some parking company that I've never heard of has my credit card information, because all of a sudden I'm stuck having to pay for a parking space.
And the QR code thing too. You know about that? By the way, you'll see like QR codes. So you can go. Don't use them. Make sure that it's legit. It'll look legit, but most places will have another place to say this is legit where it's at. If you just see it somewhere stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good one.
We're gonna go together.
Be good, everybody.